Julio.
What's up?
Mr. Tommy Nixon.
Still at it.
Yes, still
all
here.
Day.
All day, every day?
All day.
All day, every day. Every day.
Every day.
All right. Oh, my video stopped.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh my gosh, are you all serious? Wait, are we live with
You're
you all?
still live.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we were doing 2 live streams, and one of them dropped off. So
My
anyway,
computer went
we're
dropped
here
out.
though.
All
We're
right, we here, and let me. and
Yeah.
it's
Now
actually
we're
looking
listening to
good.
ourselves over here. That's all right. Right? Not like we haven't been doing this all day. Excited to be with you guys, but
Yeah. So what's up?
man, we're still doing Giving Tuesday. We have been testing out all this mobile, you know.
Yep.
And now we are in Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Long Beach. So
Right.
yeah, man. And so far we're over $2,000 that have
Yes.
come in.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So thank you guys so much for giving. All of those who gave.
Yeah.
What's up?
Now how'd that work? So 1,000 actually means
1,000 actually means 2,000.
2,000.
So
Hey!
so every dollar is matched,
Matched.
dollar for dollar. So, but here's the thing: is we've hit. You guys have given 1,000. We've got the $1,000 match. Man, we need $4,000 more, and I know that we can do it. We had one gift from my homeboy Gabe.
Shout out.
That
Shout
was
out too.
was pretty large, and so that's really helpful. We had some other, like some of our workers, John, Claudia, Miranda. Thank you guys so much for giving. We had some of our staff, right? So Lisa, Mark, Shope.
Yes.
Thank you guys for giving. Who else we had? I had oh man, the woman herself, Lindsay, who does development. So Lindsay and Oliver, thank you guys so much for giving, and I know that things are tight. So sorry to put you on blast, but things are tight, and you still gave. So thank you guys so much. I know my man Washington D.C. Thomas Bracken also gave, and so thank you so much, brother. And we know you're in the trenches, and so we hope that you guys have really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Kind of
We
just
got some more. We got some more though.
yeah. Who?
I got Joel Colbert.
Uh,
I got Pablo Benavides.
Yep. No, that's
All right.
David
David.
Benavides, which I really appreciate. David actually runs KidWorks.
Oh, wow.
you know,
That's
he's
so
trying
cool.
to raise his own money, and then he gave to us, so
See,
we
that's
really
giving
appreciate
right
it.
there.
Yeah,
That's some giving
absolutely.
right there.
Word.
All right, Richard.
Levitt.
Oh, that's how you spell. Okay, that's Lindsay's husband.
Well, no. Lindsay and
Oh,
Oliver.
no
Yeah,
scandal,
yeah.
no scandal,
No.
John.
John Moran, we said that. My man Greg Moore,
Yeah.
all the way out. He was in Harlem, but now I hear he's up running things in the Bronx for Young Life, man. Thank you, brother.
Boogie down.
Yeah, appreciate you.
right.
What we talked about. Denise, Reda. Thank you so much. Who else we got?
Deanna.
Man, Diana.
Diana.
Come on,
That's our staff member.
Yep,
Oh my
staff-
gosh,
our
our
staff
members
is
are
giving.
If we give, and we
You-
work here,
You can
shoot,
get.
we
You can get.
believe in it. You know what I'm trying to say?
yeah.
All right? So
Oh.
like, for real. It's for real. We ain't just asking you for money and we ain't willing to give because we all done gave. We giving. It's a good cause.
Man, we also have my man, Phoenix, Arizona, Larry Valenzuela. Man, we love you, brother. You know what? I'm just going to go do some graffiti on a wall
Yeah.
for you, brother. Thank you so much. And then, of course, we also have Carol Ann and Daniel, her husband, who they also work with us. So, you know, when you have people that work for the organization and give, I think you can trust that they believe in it, right?
Yeah.
So, and so do I. I believe in it, especially after talking with all these youth workers today. I was just inspired, man. So I felt like what I took from the first story, Santa Ana, with our girl Erica, was that I loved what she said. She said that our youth are a gift to the world.
Yeah.
And we need to prepare them to be that gift to the world. And I love that when we look at kids from urban areas and we see them as the answer. I love that. And then we were with Donna San Bernardino, and just her heart to get the gospel to these kids that are hopeless. I mean, she was like,
passionate,
yeah,
man.
mad
Woo!
passionate.
Just
And
living it. She's just living it. It's in her. That's all she does is live and breathe, reaching out to youth.
yeah,
It's amazing.
It was beautiful. And she was like, she thought probably 98% of those kids, of the hundreds of kids that she works with, 98% don't go to church, don't know who God is. It's like, she was saying that she felt like most of them think God is like Zeus, right? It's like, that's the picture of God, kind of like older white man with the lightning bolt that probably doesn't like you or is angry at,
Yeah.
and so every week with hundreds of kids, 400 kids, I think she said, they're telling the truth about the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so for us to support leaders like that was amazing. The other thing from her story and Erica's story was the struggle.
Yeah.
It was like the reality of that we sacrifice a lot to do what we feel God's called us to. And so because of that, we really need supporters like you guys and those that we said that we gave the shout out to, that we just need the support to continue to do that. What we do and what our leaders do is really hard. When you get called and you're in your mid-30s and you got 3 kids, when you get called to leave your job,
well, I mean, I don't have 3 kids.
To do that.
You
No,
put it
I'm
to
just
me.
saying for like Donna. No,
Are you prophesying?
I'm not saying.
Oh, she has 3 kids.
I'm
Okay.
saying,
All right.
yeah. So, and you gotta get out there and do that, and you don't know where the money's coming. I mean, that's why we exist, because we know it's really hard, and a lot of us have lived it, right? I mean, you're even coming, right? You just pulled up
From Denver,
stakes,
Colorado.
Denver,
Yep.
and you're like, all right, I don't know these cats, but let's go,
Let's
right?
go.
And you came out, and so there's a level of sacrifice, and on another note, I feel like that's some of the things that we got to teach this next generation. Like, I know that they want to change the world, but we got to help them understand that there's a sacrifice to that.
Right.
It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I heard from the stories today, and what we're going to hear from Julio soon, is that the sacrifice is worth it. Like, Donna wasn't like bitter. She wasn't like, oh man, like, why I got not get paid a lot, or she was like, absolutely worth it. Like, I would do this and continue to do it every day until all these kids come to know Christ. And so that's what we're really asking people to give to, and what you guys have given to is who needs to support these crazy, passionate leaders that are giving up so much to do this work, to see the gospel reach and transform the urban center. Who's going to support them? And from everybody that's in our community, they'd say, I don't know if I'd still be doing that without this community of people, without this kind of support. So we hope you guys hear that. We hope that you would find it in your hearts to give and to say, yeah, I'll give that. And it's a bargain. You know what I mean? So
Tell us about that bargain.
everything that you give gets doubled. I mean, that's it. The return on investment is huge, and it's immediate. So please consider giving, and we need that. We need your support in that. And at the end of the day, it's about urban youth not only experiencing the gospel, but receiving it and then changing the world for Christ. And so we heard that today through these stories, and we're going to hear some more too when the homeboy Julio comes through.
Julio, he's going to be here pretty soon.
Yeah, he's going to be here soon. I think we're going to share some sushi.
We're going to have some sushi.
For dinner. So yeah, man.
So we're taking a little snack break and a little tea. We're going to spill some tea up in here. Now, some of you guys may be saying, what in the world do you need another $10,000 for? All right, now listen, we are trying to raise $5,000 today, and it's going to be matched. Do you understand? So every dollar is going to be matched. So if 200 people gave $25, we would reach our goal. Now, if you're a skeptic like me and saying, what are you going to do with my money? I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Ready?
Come on.
All right. For $10,000, we can raise up one new urban leader in every city across the United States, except for Alaska.
Every state.
Every state.
In every state.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of cities.
2025 is city.
Yeah.
2025 funny? Every state. Listen, so for $10,000, we can raise up a new urban leader in every state in the United States, except for Alaska.
And if you are a leader or you know an urban leader that's working with urban youth in Alaska, can you please hit us up? Because we want to know you, want to support you, resource, develop you, and train you.
And invite you to California.
Yeah, because
we don't want to go to Alaska.
I don't know anybody from up there. So let us know, though. Let us know. But when we say raise up a leader, what that means is that money can go to help connect with the leader, to help them learn, get the resources they need, help them grow, help them lead, and help them launch them so they have more influence and can reach more urban youth with the gospel. So that's what that means. And so we're inviting you in on that. We want to see just that $10,000 can really actually raise up those 49 new leaders, really. And we know they're out there. Because I know for a lot of you guys out there, you felt like, before you discovered this community of people, you felt like you were alone. You felt like you were overwhelmed. You felt like you were the only one. You felt like nobody understood where you're coming from or the stuff that you're dealing with. And then when you discovered this community that you're like, just like I was 14, 15 years ago, oh my gosh, there's like thousands of other people just like me. And that's where you find your people, right? And
can I speak to that really quick?
Yeah, come on.
So this didn't happen for me 14 or 15 years ago. This happened for me literally 3 months ago. My husband and I just moved to California to come and be a part of this community. I'm the creative director with Urban Youth Workers. Tommy took a chance on this girl, thank God. And we're trying all this digital stuff. But what drew me and my hubby to pick up from Denver and to come all the way to Cali was not just the sun and the ocean. Although that was
big draws.
But we definitely felt alone. And part of that was we really felt like there was more to life than what we were living at that time. And we had been in youth ministry. We had done urban ministry and done all that stuff and all that. And toured and all that stuff with music and all this other stuff. My husband's a businessman. But all that stuff pales if you're walking through this earth seeing the issues we have in this world right now and you're not doing anything about it. We knew for us our calling is urban. Like we 100% know that. And we also know that God has always used us to reach young people, to reach youth. Now I had never thought about, what if God is moving me into a season where he wants me to actually empower youth workers? And that was kind of an interesting concept because I've always been so obsessed with youth. But as I've gotten to know these youth workers, that Urban Youth Workers empowers and equips and trains and resources, I'm blown away by the commitment that there is in our world today to a generation of leaders who are absolutely committed to seeing this next generation of young people be dope leaders in their cities, be dope leaders in their churches, be dope leaders in their families, like really putting themselves on the line, living in closets, putting their family in gunfire lines to reach kids because they believe that we have to leave a legacy in this world and it's in our young people. I'll tell you one thing, man, when I see that I feel convicted. Like I'm like, dang, like, man, what is the call? Like what is God saying for us to do? We all have a burden to bear, whatever, but like when you're in the middle of God's will, there's nothing better. And I feel like that's what I'm seeing when I'm meeting these youth workers is that, when I saw Donna walking today on that high school campus, she just looked like she was as light as air because that's what she loves doing. Yeah. She knows she's in the middle of God's will. And so it's awesome to be in this space and be able to feel like I have a community of people who have a purpose, a collective goal, and help to fine-tune my husband and I's focus on what do we need to be doing right now to leave this world in a better place. And it is really raising up youth workers to work with youth, to be the leaders that we will one day have to hand this world over to.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think about that?
Man, I mean, I think for me, I'm just more and more committed after kind of living that life, just like you guys did. I mean, you've been in this work for a really long time. After living this life, what I'm so convicted of every day is that there really is this like global movement of the Holy Spirit for church renewal, right? Yeah. But what I love from what Erica said, what we saw with Donna, is that I really believe that this next iteration of the church is young, it's urban, and it's multi-ethnic. And so the people that are going to be growing up in that environment is Gen Z right now. It's all the youth that all of you guys are working with, that we're working with, that my kids are. Those are my kids, right? And so they're coming up, and I'm going, if we can pour into the leaders that pour into them and help them learn a different way of leading, we can really help the institution, specifically of the church, be what it was. And the thing about that too is I am really aware of how do we also have some institutional memory of the good things, because it's not about like, let's just burn it all down, it's whack. No, there's some things that we need to learn from the past, but we need to move towards in the future. And we can see from the statistics and just being on the street, like the youth have just kind of like written off the church. They're like, nah, you're trying to sell me an abundant life that you're not living. And yet when I run into our leaders, I'm going, man, you're really living this life. Like, you are down for Jesus. God has captured your heart and your mind and your body and your soul and has moved you to something. What is that? And how do we help you stay in that space, grow in that, be healthy, and that? How do you give that away to your students, those that you're engaging in? And so I just have so much belief in all of our leaders, all you guys out there, that I don't think you understand how important. I don't think they understand how important they are. And
right. So you talk about this a
yeah,
lot.
man, it's the revolution.
You talk about the revolution starting in 2020. You talk about the tip of the spear. And I asked you recently, I said, what are you talking about when you look up into the sky and you go, I don't think you know how important you are. You are the tip of the spear. And I say, what does that mean? Yeah. Here's what I think I hear you saying. I think I hear you saying that those of us who have maybe become disillusioned with church, that destruction and destroying the whole thing and burning it down isn't the answer, right? Disrupting is definitely the answer. But disruption for the sake of evolving something to the next level. And so what I hear you saying is, look, tip of the spear, you're the future of this evolving, huge movement that God started thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And this is what God is doing. We are in a very pivotal part of the world, I feel like, where we're watching the church be shaken to its core, with different demographics coming through, with more political wokeness and cultural wokeness and all kinds of things, people moving back to cities. I mean, we are in a very unique time for God to do some amazing things. Yeah. So I really feel like what you're saying is like the tip of the spear is like you are a youth worker forming the next generation of leaders. Yeah. And youth, you guys about to kill it up in here in 2045. When this world has changed dramatically, where we are living in a multi-ethnic, urban, young world full of technology. How dope is that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
If it's done right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had this idea, this thought that we actually evolve to our beginnings. So
evolve to our beginnings.
Yeah. So when the church started, right? Jesus has a youth group. That's right. So Jesus has this youth group. He has all these teenagers, and then he had Peter, who's a little bit older, and he's like, come follow me. And he was revolutionary in his teaching and the way he lived it out and in the praxis of that theology. And so he's like, you've heard it said, but I say. And so he started to switch things back to how it was supposed to be. And I feel as God's movement of the church over the centuries has ebbed and flowed and moved this way and that way and has self-corrected and has gone off the rails and has come, that God's faithful to his body. And so when I think about this next generation moving forward, I go, God wants to contextualize it for what's happening in the world now.
Right.
But really, when you look at it, he's always affirmed the down and out. He's always affirmed those in power. He's always affirmed those who are suffering, and he's always raised those people up to be like, I'm gonna take the foolish things of this world. And so he always does that. I think what we're doing, we just forgot. So I think we do evolve into the future of that. But when you look at it, I feel like it just goes back to the beginning where it's like, hey man, let's self-correct a little bit. Look what Holy Spirit's doing. And the whole time we forgot.
Yeah.
Right? Because for a whole bunch of reasons, right? Yeah. But that's why I love, especially with what Erica was saying this morning, it was like, dude, the hood, these youth, they're a gift to the world. Yeah. And when we only look at them as something to fix or something to manage or something to control or something, like, you've lost it. Like, you see how Jesus walked with the disciples? He was like, you know, I mean, they messed up so much in so many different ways, and yet he still was like, nope, this is it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean. I feel like there's that evolution, but we always reverting back to the truth of what you started out, and I love God's grace for us as we get it wrong all over the place, and he's still like, oh, okay, well, yeah. And then he raises up leaders, and he starts movements that correct that.
And I think that's what Urban Youth Workers is doing. So I'm not going to twist those of you who are watching this and listening. Yes, this is Giving Tuesday, and yes, we are trying to raise $5,000, which will be matched to $10,000. But don't get it twisted. We're not just trying to run a cool organization to be like, oh, we work with cool urban kids. Like, that's not, don't get it twisted. That's not what we do. In addition, we're not trying to raise up urban youth workers to go reach poor black and brown kids. Like, that's not a thing either. That's not true. We see these young people as valuable. We see urban as valuable. We see young as valuable. We see multi-ethnic as valuable. And so why do we see it as valuable? Let me just state it as plainly as I possibly can. It is the future of the church, okay? It is the future of the movement that God started, God is in, and God will complete. And so we are fighting to see generations continue to carry on God's plan, his purpose, and his power in this earth beyond us. That is what we're doing. And so how do we do that? We have to continue to raise up urban youth workers right now to stay on the front lines with these young kids that will be the future leaders, that will be the future pastors, elders, city leaders, fathers, mothers, aunties, sisters. Like this, guys, like, it's our job. It's our job. Yeah. And so this is not about being cool. This isn't about being anything politically correct or none of that stuff. It's about literally 100% God's heart. Yeah. That's it. So we're asking you very simply today, if you want to continue to see urban youth workers like Javier Reyes from Black Boy Joy, the film we just launched, or Erica's that we met with today, or Donna, if you want to continue to see these youth workers on the front line, $25 is not a ton of money to give to people who I know are out there fighting battles, you know what I'm saying, y'all, to raise up this next generation to partner with God in forming this beautiful bride, this church that he's been building for centuries. That's what we're doing here at Urban Youth Workers. So you can go to our website, uywi.org, and go ahead and hit donate, y'all. Give whatever you can. It's totally cool. It's matched, though, for real today. So I just say, like, if you're sitting here like, well, maybe I should. Yes. I haven't done anything on Giving Tuesday. Well, you done Cyber Monday. You ordered whatever you ordered, and you did Black Friday. You got that big screen TV. Now, yo, invest in the future of the church. Is that so hard?
Yeah, man.
Is that so hard?
That's
crazy.
It. Yeah.
Crazy. We like to have fun. Right?
And, oh, man.
We're talking about serious things.
You're either laughing or crying. That's
yeah. Or you're in this really radical middle, which we'll talk about at some other.
Yeah, man. And if you guys are out there and you're kind of wondering, like, well, I want to give just directly to the work, I think you should. And any of our leaders that you hear about or whatever, we would totally encourage you to give to what they're doing. Maybe you're from San Bernardino and you're like, I love that place. Maybe you're from New York and what they're doing in the Bronx with my man Greg. You know, look up Young Life up there. I mean, we're all about it. The kingdom is big enough. God is big enough. But if you're wondering, like, well, why should I give to you guys rather than not just straight to it?
To the youth worker, right?
Part of it is this.
We ain't pimping out youth workers either, so don't get that twisted.
Yeah, I mean,
don't get that twisted.
We want you to give to them, but we would also say this, like, through our training and resourcing and development, it's exponential. We help these leaders learn how to fundraise. We help them with a strategic plan. We help them with the one pager that they can give to donors and go, here's why you should support me. Like, we're really growing capacity so they have greater impact. And we think that's exponential in its engagement to help these leaders reach more kids with greater impact.
Yep.
So that's why we would say it's important to give. That's why our staff gives. That's why our youth workers give. And you guys are out there grinding it out, and yet you still, it's just out of the deep depth of your heart and what you're about. You guys give, and I'm humbled by that. I'm like, man, thank you guys so much, because we know how much you get paid,
right.
And that's big. But I'm also asking, maybe you're not part of any of this. Yeah. And I would say, man, we really need your help to give. This is about the gospel. It's about the kingdom of God. It's about the future of the church. Yeah. And we really believe it's that big. That's not hyperbole. I really believe that.
So if it's not hyperbole, let's give some practical examples. All right, ready? This year, 2020, we've got what coming up? National
Conference.
Reimagined.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we've got that coming up where we have about, 1,200 to 1,500 youth workers that come to equipped and resourced.
Yeah, I know you guys have been waiting to hear what's going on with that. We're going to let you know real soon, but that's coming up. I mean, we have a whole new, we're working on this new website. You've seen some of the pages so far. But that's also going to hold together a whole resource library for you as we continue to make resources to help you, and then as well as tools as well to help you reach those youth, right? Like our discipleship toolkit. Yeah. We've revamped our 9 Degrees program, and here's the beautiful part. We're looking to start moving regionally. Yeah. So we want to come to your region, to your city, and we want to help the network that's already happening there. We want to help bolster what you're up to and what you're doing, but we also want to get closer to where you're at, so that we can have that communal feeling. Regional! Not just in LA or New York, but across the entire country. So we're working on all that. So this next year is going to be a really huge year as far as like where we're heading and how we want to resource and develop and train you guys so that you can be who God created you to be. And so we're really excited. We're going to be expanding 9 Degrees. And so looking at, I'll let you on the inside track, looking at Houston, actually. Houston. So,
all right.
Shout out to Will Cumbie. Yeah, so we're looking at that. And then we have 7 other cities as well that we're looking at over the next 3 years. So so we're making some moves, but to make those moves, we need resource partners, and so we're asking you guys to give. So so that's kind of it.
So we have one more treat for you guys tonight. We have our special guest coming. He just knocked on the door. His name is Julio, and he has a dope story. So give us about 15 more minutes. We're going to go live again. We're going to have this table decked out with some of the most beautiful sushi you've ever seen, but you won't be able to eat it, but we'll be eating it. Virtual eating is not a thing yet, but when it is in 2045, we'll share some with you. But for today, we'll fill our bellies, but we'll give you a great story. So tune back in. Again, uywi.org. Donate. Again, we're trying to raise 10,000. All we need to really do is 5 because it's matched. So 5,000 actually.
Come on.
10,000, and we're already at 2,000. I can count. Yeah, we're at 2,000. So y'all, if you believe in what we're talking about, give it on Giving Tuesday. UYWI live Giving Tuesday. Yeah.
That's
we'll
it.
See you soon.
All right, man. You guys ready? All right. Maybe you're asking yourself, what does this $10,000 do? Let me hook you up, all right? This is what it's going to do. It's going to raise up a new urban leader in every single state over this next year, right? Now that's 50 well, let me break, well, it's not 50 because I'm not sure we're going to be up in Alaska, but say 49 other states to help these urban leaders raise up. And for the next year, we're going to resource them, train and develop them to become the leader that they were created to be. If that's not worth $10,000, man, I don't know what is. And so we need your help. Go ahead, give to it. Every dollar is matched, and it's going to help us discover, connect with, resource, develop these urban leaders in every state in the United States, except for Alaska, but we're going to get there, all right? Here's the deal. If we had 200 of our faithful followers, of our resource partners, of our leaders, if we had 200 people give $25, we reach our goal, right? And then every one of those dollars gets matched. So if you give $25, it's like giving 50. This is a bargain. And then you'll see all throughout today, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what that money goes to. And I believe that you'll be so inspired that you might want to give some more money. That'll get more matched, right? So look, today's the day. We need your help. Giving Tuesday, $25. We need 200 of y'all to come through. And some of you guys can give more. So if some of you have a little bit more capacity, give $100, you know? Some of you out there, I know you're big ballers, so $500, $1,000, that's all on you. So help us out today, be inspired by our leaders, follow with us, and we're gonna get there. When you have your house in order, when you're clear about what you're doing, when you know what you didn't know, once you can do that, then the gift of that is your presence. So we really believe that everyone's a gift to be received. And so if a leader is like, they're over here and they got to think about this and that, and they're kind of all over the place, how can they be present with an urban student, with an urban youth that desperately needs somebody to show them what the kingdom of God is like? And a lot of times when we talk about the fruit is really a fruit of the Spirit. What our students need, what our neighborhoods need, what our cities need, they need to experience love, joy, and peace, and patience, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. Like, these are the things that they need to experience. If you have a bunch of leaders that are just out there doing all the work and they're kind of frenetic and they're just like, I don't know what to do, and they got to do all this stuff, you can't just sit with somebody and just be. And then they don't experience the Spirit of God that lives inside of you. And then nothing ever changes. It's just, we did a lot of work, look at what we did, and then nothing changed. And so for us, our core belief is that it's a theology of presence, that everything is found in the presence of God. But that also means not just God's presence, but you being present with God and with others. And I think that's the great commandment, right? Love God, love others. But you can't do that if you're just like this all the time. So we want to give you the resources so that you can be straight and be present and be the gift that really you were created to be received. Man, we just got $1,000. Thank you guys so much for giving. Here's what's beautiful. $1,000 actually means $2,000. So thank you guys so much for helping us get there. Listen, we got to get to 5,000 by the end of the day, which will get matched to 10,000. So we have 4,000 more to go. So I know we can do it. Thank you so much. Keep on rocking. You guys ready? All right. Maybe you're asking yourself, what does this $10,000 do? Let me hook you up, all right? This is what it's going to do. It's going to raise up a new urban leader in every single state over this next year, right? Now that's 50. Well, let me break. Well, it's not 50 because I'm not sure we're going to be up in Alaska, but say 49 other states to help these urban leaders raise up. And for the next year, we're going to resource them, train, and develop them to become the leader that they were created to be. If that's not worth $10,000, man, I don't know what is. And so we need your help. Go ahead, give to it. Every dollar is matched, and it's going to help us discover, connect with, resource, develop these urban leaders in every state in the United States, except for Alaska, but we're going to get there, all right? You guys ready? All right. Maybe you're asking yourself, what does this $10,000 do? Let me hook you up, all right? This is what it's gonna do. It's gonna raise up a new urban leader in every single state over this next year, right? Now that's 50, well, let me break, well, it's not 50 because I'm not sure we're gonna be up in Alaska, but say 49 other states to help these urban leaders raise up, and for the next year, we're gonna resource them, train and develop them to become the leader that they were created to be. If that's not worth $10,000, man, I don't know what is. And so we need your help. Go ahead, give to it. Every dollar is matched, and it's going to help us discover, connect with, resource, develop these urban leaders in every state in the United States, except for Alaska, but we're going to get there, all right? Here's the deal. If we had 200 of our faithful followers, of our resource partners, of our leaders, if we had 200 people give $25, we reach our goal, right? And then every one of those dollars gets matched. So if you give $25, it's like giving 50. This is a bargain. And then you'll see all throughout today, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what that money goes to. And I believe that you'll be so inspired that you might want to give some more money. That'll get more matched, right? So look, today's the day. We need your help. Giving Tuesday, $25. We need 200 of y'all to come through. And some of you guys can give more. So if some of you have a little bit more capacity, give $100. You know, some of you out there, I know you're big ballers, so $500, $1,000, that's all on you. So help us out today. Be inspired by our leaders. Follow with us, and we're going to get there. Guys, it's Giving Tuesday today, and we are trying to raise $10,000, but here's what's beautiful is that we have a $5,000 match. So we got to raise $5,000, and for every dollar we raise, somebody matches that. So we're trying to get to $10,000. So we need $5,000 today. And so what we're going to do is we want to show you the type of impact that we're having in the world. And so we're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with some of our beloved urban leaders. And so we're gonna go check them out. We're just gonna have conversations with them, but we really want you to understand what's the context, what's the environment, what are the barriers they're up against, and what are some of the successes that they're experiencing. Because we want you to know when you give to us, you are giving to an actual leader who is reaching thousands and thousands of youth out there with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So follow with us as we go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner with our leaders, and we'll see you all day today. In 2020, the revolution is happening. We're revolutionizing the way we do media, the content that we bring you. It's going to be relevant. It's going to be up to date. It's going to really speak to the places that our urban leaders are in and what they're dealing with. Not only that, but we're reimagining national conference. And I know that a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, what's going on with that? Look, we've been silent on it because some things are coming. It's going to be a little bit different, but we're really excited. I think it's going to blow your mind about what's coming. And then we're going to be creating a bunch of new resources for you this next year, again, that are really going to help you become the leader you're created to be. We revamped 9 Degrees. It's going to be off the hook. And here's the big one. I know that you've been asking for it. We're moving out into regional spaces. And so we're going to be coming to a city near you. And we're going to be setting up shop and supporting the leaders there so that there's regional gatherings and groups and trainings for you to get to. I know everybody can't come to California. I know you want to, but you can't, right? And so we're going to help you get to a group of other leaders just like you that are close to your region. And we're really going to be working into this regional model that we're working out right now. And so look, 2020 is going to be amazing. It's going to be doing through leaders just like you. And so stick with us. I know it's going to change. I know change can be hard. I know the transition is difficult. I know you missed some things that used to be. I get it. Me too. But we're moving forward, and that's my job. We're here to help you be the leader that you were created to be. And so we have a whole bunch of things for you this next year. Keep rocking with us. We believe in you. We are you, and we'll be with you. When you have your house in order, when you're clear about what you're doing, when you know what you didn't know, once you can do that, then the gift of that is your presence. So we really believe that everyone's a gift to be received. And so if a leader is like, they're over here and they got to think about this and that, and they're kind of all over the place, how can they be present with an urban student, with an urban youth that desperately needs somebody to show them what the kingdom of God is like? And a lot of times when we talk about the fruit is really a fruit of the Spirit. What our students need, what our neighborhoods need, what our cities need, they need to experience love, and joy, and peace, and patience, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. Like, these are the things that they need to experience. If you have a bunch of leaders that are just out there doing all the work and they're kind of frenetic and they're just like, I don't know what to do, and they got to do all this stuff, you can't just sit with somebody and just be. And then they don't experience the Spirit of God that lives inside of you. And then nothing ever changes. It's just, we did a lot of work. Look at what we did, and then nothing changed. And so for us, our core belief is that it's a theology of presence, that everything is found in the presence of God. But that also means not just God's presence, but you being present with God and with others. And I think that's the great commandment, right? Love God, love others. But you can't do that if you're just like this all the time. So we want to give you the resources so that you can be straight and be present and be the gift that really you were created to be received. Tools like help the youth worker actually do the work. So we have something called the Discipleship Toolkit, which is it's like 36 videos, for discipleship. So you get your group together and you watch a 5-minute video, and then you have discussion. It's just to set you up to have that, be present in relationship with your students. Our D-Kit is really built for the urban leader in that context. So a lot of our leaders have to take other resources and translate it for their students. So, other people making resources for teens and students, youth, they're not coming from where we're coming from. And so it's not contextualized to the youth, right, that we're speaking to. And so we take in a shared understanding of suffering, language, and the culture that comes out of that, a shared culture of suffering that gets expressed through art and language and art and dance and right, those kind of things. Well, that's all put into these type of resources. We understand where they're coming from because that's where we're from. And so that's what makes it really different for people, the language you use, the examples we use, it's all contextualized to kind of like that shared suffering that we're experiencing in the urban center. So that's why it's a little bit different. Resources are built for the urban leader. So that's actually to help the leader become who they were created to be. So our resources, we'll have like training videos, and we'll have 90 Degrees, which is our certification course. There's through a year-long process of growing them and giving them everything they need to be the leader that God created them to be. It's probably the best thing that we do, and that takes them through understanding who they're created to be. How do you lead that way? How do you use giftings, and then giving them the tools along that path to figure out, well, how do you reach your community? How do you communicate better? How do you manage and lead? How do you help these people in your life? So there's 12 different classes in these 3 different modules that we have there. Every leader comes out of that completely transformed and changed. And not only that, they come out with a strategic plan. So again, you can't be present if you don't know what you're going to do. And so we help these leaders create the strategic plan. And so they know what the year looks like, they know where they're trying to head, they have goals, and then they go and get them. And then the last thing is trainings. We bring people together like at our national conference, which is really unique space, again, because it's contextualized. If you're out there and you feel like you're alone, like nobody understands what I'm doing, I'm out here in the hood, I'm grinding it out, like my kids are getting shot, they're dealing with heroin, their parents aren't around, like all the crazy stuff that these leaders deal with. If you're out there and you feel like you're alone, I'm telling you that there are thousands of other leaders just like you, and you just don't know where the family is at. And so we invite you into that. And so these trainings, people that look like you, talk like you, come from where you're coming from, understand you don't have to explain poverty to them. So at things like our national conference, we have trainings where people can come, get trained, resource, get networked with people that are doing what you're doing, and then you can feel encouraged because there's an army of people just like you doing the same thing out there, and you just didn't know. Here's the deal. If we had 200 of our faithful followers, of our resource partners, of our leaders, if we had 200 people give $25, we reach our goal, right? And then every one of those dollars gets matched. So if you give $25, it's like giving 50. This is a bargain. And then you'll see all throughout today, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what that money goes to. And I believe that you'll be so inspired that you might want to give some more money. That'll get more matched, right? So look, today's the day. We need your help. Giving Tuesday, $25. We need 200 of y'all to come through. And some of you guys can give more. So if some of you have a little bit more capacity, give $100, you know? Some of you out there, I know you're big ballers, so $500, $1,000, that's all on you. So help us out today, be inspired by our leaders, follow with us, and we're gonna get there. You guys ready? All right. Maybe you're asking yourself, what does this $10,000 do? Let me hook you up, all right? This is what it's gonna do. It's gonna raise up a new urban leader in every single state over this next year, right? Now that's 50, well, let me break, well, it's not 50 because I'm not sure we're gonna be up in Alaska, but say 49 other states to help these urban leaders raise up, and for the next year, we're gonna resource them, train and develop them to become the leader that they were created to be. If that's not worth $10,000, man, I don't know what is. And so we need your help. Go ahead, give to it. Every dollar is matched, and it's going to help us discover, connect with, resource, develop these urban leaders in every state in the United States, except for Alaska, but we're going to get there, all right? Tools like help the youth worker actually do the work. So we have something called the which is it's like 36 videos for discipleship. So you get your group together and you watch a 5-minute video, and then you have discussion. It's just to set you up to have that, be present in relationship with your students. Our kit is really built for the urban leader in that context. So you're not going to, a lot of our leaders have to take other resources and translate it for their students. So, other people making resources for teens and students, youth, they're not coming from where we're coming from. So it's not contextualized to the youth, right, that we're speaking to. And so we take advantage of suffering that gets expressed through art and language and art and dance and, right, those kind of things. Well, that's all put into these type of resources. We understand where they're coming from because that's where we're from. And so that's what makes it really different for people. The language you use, the examples we use, it's all contextualized to kind of like that shared suffering that we're experiencing in the urban center. So that's why it's a little bit different. Resources are built for the urban leader. So that's actually to help the leader become who they were created to be. So our resources, we'll have like training videos, and we'll have 90 Degrees, which is our certification course. Now 90 Degrees takes these leaders through a year-long process of growing them and giving them everything they need to be the leader that God created them to be. It's probably the best thing that we do, and that takes them through understanding who they're created to be, how do you lead that way, how do you use giftings, and then giving them the tools along that path. Well, how do you reach your community? How do you communicate better? How do you manage and lead? How do you have healthy spiritual rhythms in your life? So there's 12 different classes in these 3 different modules that we have there. Every leader comes out of that completely transformed and changed. And not only that, they come out with a strategic plan. So again, you can't be present if you don't know what you're going to do. And so we help these leaders create the strategic plan. And so they know what the year looks like. They know where they're trying to head. They have goals, and then they go and get them. And then the last thing is trainings. We bring people together like at our national conference, which is really unique space, again, because it's contextualized. If you're out there and you feel like you're alone, like nobody understands what I'm doing, I'm out here in the hood, I'm grinding it out, like my kids are getting shot, they're dealing with heroin, their parents aren't around, like all the crazy stuff that these leaders deal with. If you're out there and you feel like you're alone, I'm telling you that there are thousands of other leaders just like you. And you just don't know where the family's at. And so we invite you into that. And so these trainings look like that. It's a bunch of people that look like you, talk like you, come from where you're coming from, understand. You don't have to explain poverty to them. So I think like at the conference we have trainings where people can come, get trained, resource, get networked with people that are doing what you're doing, and then you can feel encouraged because there's an army of people just like you doing the same thing out there, and you just didn't know. When you have your house in order, when you're clear about what you're doing, when you know what you didn't know, once you can do that, then the gift of that is your presence. So we really believe that everyone's a gift to be received. And so if a leader is like, they're over here and they got to think about this and that, and they're kind of all over the place, how can they be present with an urban student, with an urban youth that desperately needs somebody to show them what the kingdom of God is like? And a lot of times when we talk about the fruit is really a fruit of the Spirit. What our students need, what our neighborhoods need, what our cities need, they need to experience love, and joy, and peace, and patience, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. Like, these are the things that they need to experience. If you have a bunch of leaders that are just out there doing all the work and they're kind of frenetic and they're just like, I don't know what to do, and they got to do all this stuff, you can't just sit with somebody and just be. And then they don't experience the Spirit of God that lives inside of you. And then nothing ever changes. It's just, we did a lot of work. Look at what we did, and then nothing changed. And so for us, our core belief is that it's a theology of presence, that everything is found in the presence of God. But that also means not just God's presence, but you being present with God and with others. And I think that's the great commandment, right? Love God, love others. But you can't do that if you're just like this all the time. So we want to give you the resources so that you can be straight and be present be the gift that really you were created to be received. You guys ready? All right. Maybe you're asking yourself, what does this $10,000 do? Let me hook you up, all right? This is what it's gonna do. It's gonna raise up a new urban leader in every single state over this next year, right? Now that's 50, well, let me break, it's not 50 because I'm not sure we're gonna be up in Alaska, but say 49 other states to help these urban leaders raise up, and for the next year, we're gonna resource them, train and develop them to become the leader that they were created to be. If that's not worth $10,000, man, I don't know what is. And so we need your help. Go ahead, give to it. Every dollar is matched, and it's going to help us discover, connect with, resource, develop these urban leaders in every state in the United States, except for Alaska, but we're going to get there, all right? Here's the deal. If we had 200 of our faithful followers, of our resource partners, of our leaders, if we had 200 people give $25, we reach our goal, right? And then every one of those dollars gets matched. So if you give $25, it's like giving 50. This is a bargain. And then you'll see all throughout today, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what that money goes to. And I believe that you'll be so inspired that you might want to give some more money. That'll get more matched, right? So look, today's the day. We need your help. Giving Tuesday, $25. We need 200 of y'all to come through. And some of you guys can give more. So if some of you have a little bit more capacity, give $100, you know? Some of you out there, I know you're big ballers, so $500, $1,000, that's all on you. So help us out today, be inspired by our leaders, follow with us, and we're gonna get there.
What's up? We have made it to our final destination. Sushi with Julio. What's up, y'all? We've done breakfast.
That's right.
We've done lunch. And now we're doing dinner.
That's right.
So good. Sushi, sushi, sushi. All right, you guys, we're about to hear an amazing story. So tune in, come close, lean in, and listen. This is going to be super inspiring. What a great way to end Giving Tuesday, and the sushi as well. All right, here we go.
Delicious. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining with us like all day long. For those of you who have given, who have tuned in, who have shared, thank you for sharing it. And so we're here. This is our last interview for Giving Tuesday. I'm here with my man Julio, and we're gonna get into that in a minute. But I just wanted to update you. We're a little bit over $2,000 in giving. We need to make it to 10, and so we got a little ways to go. And so even though this will be the last kind of interview that we do, like it goes all the way till midnight. So you have till midnight to watch all our videos, look at the archive of it, check it out, share it, give. So we have till midnight tonight. And so what is that? Like 5 hours. We got less than 5 hours to go, and we need to raise all that money, and it goes to raising up leaders in all 50 states. Now, we said earlier, except for Alaska, I'm going to cut that because we looked at our database, and guess what? We got people in Alaska. So, I didn't see you. I'm new. I just took over as CEO, but we see you. We're with you. We are you. So, my Alaska folks. So, let's say all 50 states, $10,000 will help us raise up a leader in each one of those states. And so I'm here with my man Julio. We're eating some sushi. Here, let's get a bite real quick because I just want to make sure that you have. Way, huh? Yeah, you know what I mean? So, no, so good. I'm going to hit your mouth. And it just goes. I can feel it. It's going here. Yep, there it is. So I'm with my man Julio. Now, my brother, I love your story, and I want you to share a little bit of your story. And I want you to do that so that I can eat some more sushi. Stop talking. No, I want to hear your story a little bit because if any of you guys have ever worked with, let's just be real, a hard-headed youth. Like one of those kids where you're like, they're not going to make it. You know what I mean? Like if we knew you at 15, we would have been like, dude, this, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Right? Close the door, man. But here's the thing is, my man here is like, again, you're just hope to me. Because I think we all have kids out there and youth that we desperately, and I know you do too, that we desperately love and care about that just aren't there yet. Right? I have some people in my life that I've known them since they were kids, and they're in their 20s, mid-20s now, and I'm still hoping because they just haven't, turned that corner yet, come to Christ and seen that life transformation. But for you, Julio, like coming from the streets, right? Hawaiian Gardens, right? That barrio over there. And so tell us a little bit about kind of your background. I know that if any of you guys have ever worked with gang kids, and kids that are really on the street, hustling, doing their thing, that there's hope, because I'm sitting here with an embodiment of hope of what God can do. So let us know a little bit about like that background, where you're coming from, and what that journey was to when you discovered Christ at 18, right? Right. So yeah, man, share a little bit.
So I come from an immigrant family, so I didn't actually come from a gang background, but basically my story is just trying to survive in the streets and having just an environment. At the time, it was the 90s, so it was very heavily gang area at the time. So it was just an idea of just simply going to school. You learn that to be in school, you got to survive. And I really don't believe that that's changed. It's just a different environment nowadays. But kids are still surviving in whatever environment is created at the moment. So I think I can always reflect back on that. In my time, it was gangs. Now things have changed, but it's still bad stuff going on. So basically, I got involved in gangs about 10 years old, and then by I want to say by 15, I was fighting my first cases. 14, 15. Wow. 17, I was in a really bad car accident. I almost took mine and my father's life. It was drunk driving. We pretty much crashed on the freeway, and that's when I first questioned. Well, I guess the first time I felt that I could be touched. When you're young, you feel like
invincible, bro.
Bullets are nothing. They're surgeries, and then you feel like, oh wow, I literally could have died then. And then it was the first time I actually thought. And someone asked me. I remember a nurse asked me if I ever thought what happened to me afterwards, and that's the first time I realized I never really did think, because you listen to everything, and nobody cares when you die until you're dying. And then it's like okay, I want to probably consider this, and and so it did take an experience like that. But crazy enough, my life didn't change then. That's when I first questioned, and I started wanting to know about Christ. So a friend of mine actually told me about this church that was down the street. I went, I checked it out. I went there for 3 months. It was the summer, and I remember I went with I just wanted to. I've always heard, because I come from a Latino family, so everyone's Catholic, but nobody really believes anything. And the joke is just like, they all lie to you, and it's just a religion. It's just fake. So when they told me, hey, you should go down to that church and check it out, I went there. I just wanted to hear one thing that I knew that was fake, like something that I can prove, like no doubt, like you guys are just pulling my leg.
You went to disprove it.
That's all I wanted to hear. So ironically, I paid a lot of attention because I really wanted to find that one thing. Like I didn't walk
catch him, slip him.
And for 3 months, I didn't. And at the end, there was a retreat, and it really got to me. And it was the word of the Bible being backed up by nature, and it was a retreat that I took. And it's when I saw the Bible was real, and the only thing that was not quite there, why it didn't make sense when you read, because when I read the Bible and I saw the world, it just didn't quite make sense. And then that's when I first discovered the problem was us, and the first idea that maybe the Bible isn't fake, isn't a fairy tale, and we really just don't understand what in the world we're doing. And so we have a concrete jungle, So I went back, and that's the first time I started thinking twice before I did stuff. And then I started noticing what people did and how dumb it was. And ironically, the first time it crossed my head how dumb it was to die for a piece of concrete. And then it felt worse because you knew people that died for that piece of concrete. And then the ignorance. So then I dove more into the Bible because I figured there's truth in that. And I almost felt like I was lied to. And it was a process. I remember that clearly. It was like 2 weeks. I didn't read the whole Bible in 2 weeks, but these 2 weeks were intense, man. I remember I was really upset at one point, especially in the book of Proverbs. And I remember that because that book is the first 3 chapters, man. I'm reading them, and I'm reading. It's talking about gangs. Yep. It's full blown talking about gangs. How they just they lie and they wait for blood and they go into seek and take. And I'm like, dude, because my whole thing, I took so much pride in how much I knew at my age. And how I've already had gone up the ranks. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, if I would have just sat down and read this, I didn't have to go through any of that. Yeah. Because the Bible was just so real, but I didn't really picture it, And I just started doing that, and I wouldn't say slowly because it was kind of quick. It was, I say when God works, it's kind of like He preps you and then He just jolts. And I remember when it was time to get out of the gang, I knew. Yeah. And I just knew, like. It's almost like God, I don't know, it's weird because it's the same step every big step I've taken in my faith. And it's almost like He'll let you feel His presence. And to me personally, He goes, okay, but I need you the next step next. Yeah. And it won't go any further till you take this. And you just know, like, all right, this is a big step. And it's amazing because that's when my faith has grown. I remember when I knew I had to go and do that. And when I did, it was amazing. Like, I never expected them to say yeah.
So okay,
and it's something that you don't really hear.
Explain this to me. So for those of you who are from gang life or work with gang members, like that's always a miraculous story. And what's crazy is you don't just I'm out, guys. Yeah. Hey, good. It's been a good ride. You know what I mean? Yeah. Can you explain that a little bit? Like, just how did that happen?
So I struggle trying to explain this because I don't want to glorify me in any shape or form, But basically, I explained. I prayed first. I want to be clear. You, whenever you make a decision like that, you better make sure God's with you. Because I remember at first, it was one of the first lessons I learned. I used to hear Christians all the time say, "Hey man, don't be afraid. God is with you. God, whatever you do, God is with you." Right? And then you read the Bible, and God doesn't always. Like when people do something that God didn't send them to do, He's not right there. Like you're gonna have the consequence. So one thing I learned is if it's something big in your life, like whatever decision it is, just make sure that God's with you and you'll be fine. So I prayed a lot. I tried to find, trust me, I tried to find every route I could. Did not have to go down that way. Even thinking about moving, but at the same time I figured, it was my first test, and it was my first, and ironically it was the first test, and it was I resembled it at the time like baptism because it was the first time where you show who you are. And then I remembered, and it was like I said, you learn a lot because what I learned there is like when I read about it in the Bible, it was like, okay, so these guys went, they met John, they got the water, and they're Christians, big deal. But then when you're like, if at that time it wasn't cool. Just like it's not cool to be a Christian when you're a gang member. Yeah. Or whatever your situation. So that was my baptism. That was me declaring like, look, I want to do this. Dang. And then you realize like, things can go south quick, but then it doesn't. And
like real quick.
You know what I'm saying? And it showed me the value of why you start with baptism. Because if you can't even get down that part, man, you got a long road ahead of you.
Oh, that's good, man.
So that's how I got my start. And it wasn't like, all right, cool, like you're out. It didn't go like that. I don't want to get into too much detail, but it was basically like, hey, man, if this is what you decide to do, then this is what you do. But if you go back, then we're always going to be here. Yeah. So don't play. Like, it is. Like, if this is what you want to do, go for it. And, I never screwed anyone over. I never did anything like that.
Drop a dime.
So there's things that come with it, but at the end of the day, there's nothing that I did that made them change their mind. It was literally like I wasn't even expecting that. It was more like you gotta, or get out of here. We don't want to see you. But I live in the same neighborhood. I live probably just a few blocks down from where I used to live when I was doing everything, and I changed just a few blocks down. So all the kids know me. A lot of a lot of the young adults in their 20s, they know me because that's when I was going around.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the adults know me because so I'm very well known in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Which, it's crazy because even though it sounds like my life was a little dark for a moment, it almost like, even though all my mistakes are set up because now I can reach kids.
Yeah.
And parents are like, we know exactly who he is. We know where his parents are at. Like, we know where to find this guy.
Yeah.
So he can take my kid. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I never thought, I always thought when I first got the idea that I wanted to help, this was like 2 years ago when I first met Larry, I thought that was what was going to hinder me. Because you wouldn't let the old X-Game member let your kid hang out with him.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
if he said he changed you, I was going to be like, I don't know. Like, I'm going to check your eyes every time you come in.
Yeah,
or some type of resistance,
Yeah.
especially because they knew you were an idiot, But ironically, that's what they're like, no, we know who he is. We know he's changed. Like,
We saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's been 9 years, going on 10. They're like, usually, like, it's tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, the first 5 years, like, still nobody believed me. Everybody's still like, nah, he's still doing something. Or he's in it for the money. And then you just keep writing, man. Trust me, God will keep you busy. You won't be bored. But yeah, that's basically my story. Man, I'm an X-Game member. God got a hold of me, and it's funny because I wouldn't listen. I remember since I was a kid, because my grandma is actually Catholic, but she would pray a lot.
Yeah.
And she would always pray for us, but I never had time. I was always on the go.
Yeah.
Always out, go get money here, do that. And I was put on a wheelchair for 8 months. And that's when I found God.
Be still and know that He is God.
So either you do it or He'll make you be still. Because he put me in a wheelchair for 8 months.
That's
and it was
crazy, man.
It was the best 8 months.
So all right. So, man, you said a lot of beautiful things, brother. But so what's interesting to me, one, even at describing like I'm an X-Game member, really, when I hear that, what I actually hear is you've always been a leader. You're just leading in a different movement.
Yeah.
That's all you are. You've always been a leader. That's who you are, really, Julio. And that's who God created you to be. And so, but you're just using those skill sets, which I want to talk about later, because I want to talk about how the skill sets from the street, how God's redeeming those now and what you're doing now. So, so causing a ruckus in the neighborhood, grew up there, doing your thing, car accident, wheelchair, 8 months, like crazy. Yeah. Start thinking about it, get into the Word of God, take that baptism of standing up and going, I'm out. Yeah. What do you tell me how this is going to go down. And they go, I'm sure there's more to the story, but all right. But you got to be real. Just like you were real for us, you got to be real for Jesus. And I love that. But then you're still in the same neighborhood.
Correct.
Right. That's what you're saying. And so tell me a little bit about, you said that all of a sudden these, these kids start hanging out, right? So you're living in the neighborhood. You get married, right? How long have you been married?
5 years.
5 years. So you get married, and these kids start hanging around, man. So tell me a little bit about that story.
I had just taken a new job. Actually, I was probably about 2 months in, and then my wife had just started an office job. I was working at a tire shop. And the times that we were coming home, I was coming home a lot earlier because I was going in early. I was going at 4 in the morning, home by 2:30. And my wife would go to work around 8. She had to be at work at 8. So I would tell her hey, I come home and there's these kids outside. And she told me one time, every time I go to work, I see them there. So I'm thinking that's 8. When I come back from work, they're still in the same spot.
Yeah,
they're just there.
Posted. Yeah.
And then one day she just asked them are you guys hungry? And they said. Yeah, so she brought them some chips, some Takis, and they just grubbed on them. Then she asked, a couple questions. It's funny how kids, they won't tell you anything until they feel they have some trust, and then they'll just tell you everything.
Yeah, a little bit too much. You're like, oh man, I didn't want to know that, bro.
They don't really care after that. So they started telling her like once a day they get like a shake type of thing and a squeak. So they get that in the morning. Yeah, and that's it. That holds them out to at the end of the night when parents get home and give them some food. So she started. She talked to me. We started buying them some food. They started coming to the house, and then we started praying for the food. None of them are Christian.
Yeah.
None of them believe in God. Their families actually didn't want them to be part of anything. They were against religion.
Oh yeah, I totally ran into that.
Yeah, so
I ran into it where the parents were okay with them literally gang banging. Yeah. But they couldn't come to our Bible study. Right. I was like, All right. Yeah. All right. So go ahead.
The same scenario.
Yeah.
So what
weird.
we started doing was we just kept inviting them and kept playing with them and not rejecting them because they kept asking questions.
Yeah.
So my wife just kept feeding them. I started playing sports with them outside, and more kept coming. And eventually, I think we went up to like 15 kids or so. And yeah, we would just go to the park. Then we started taking them to the park, and that blew their mind. And every time we would do something, we'll ask them, so we learn something from them. Like a lot of them don't really go to parks, so they're like super excited. Like if you're taking them to Disneyland.
But it's just a park that's like a mile away, right?
You know, and then you take them to the night. You know, you go to Cerritos and it's like, this is Disneyland. You know what I'm saying? So,
like,
these
places exist.
Yeah,
So
they were excited, and then you ask them, like, they don't go to parks, they don't go to theme parks, they don't go to the beach, nothing. So, I taught them how to play volleyball. They didn't know how to play volleyball. Play basketball with them. So we just play sports, and then helped them with homework. That was during the summer. That's how we got started. And then they started just loving on us. They started coming around every day. And we literally would get home and they'd already be outside of the house. Like, what are we going to do today? What are we going to eat? And then Pizza Little Caesars, man, puts in work, bro. Yeah. That's the spot.
And there's a theme throughout all of our interviews today, man. And food is definitely it, man. You know what I mean? Hot Cheetos and Takis and pizza, man, opens up the mouths of these
then we
kids,
wanted
man.
to get a little crazy. Then we started asking, kind of run out of sports, so we wanted to show movies. I remember the first time we showed a movie, we didn't want to show any movie. We wanted to show something that had a theme, but we couldn't show anything that was religious.
Yeah, sure.
And we couldn't really bring them in the house because you got in my house. So we have a driveway, right? So we opened up the driveway. I took out my flat screen, and we played How to Train a Dragon. And that we played that because at the end we asked them and we related it's basically a lie, and then someone could have got hurt because of a lie, and they loved it. So my wife went all out. She put out like rows of seats, pulled up chairs, and they had popcorn. Went to the 99-cent store, so they had like little popcorn stuff, and they loved it. Until this day, they remember that, And it's just, I guess even if it's for a moment, it gets them to get out there. We're in the hood. Yeah, like your chances of actually making and being the American dream are slim, but for that moment, like you were chilling with your friends.
That's so good, man. So I love. So now it's basically you have this after school program at your house, right? So what I love about this is, and this for all you people out there, because a lot of times people don't like self-identify as an urban youth worker. They're like, oh, well, I'm not a pastor, or I don't run a youth group, or I didn't start a nonprofit or whatever. Brother, you were just in your neighborhood and there's some kids hanging out in front of your house and you're like, hey, you hungry? I mean, the most simple questions, right? That Jesus can engage people with, where he's just like, hey, hey, woman at the well. Hey, I'm thirsty. Can I have some water? You know what I mean? And it starts this whole thing. The town gets saved. It comes to know who the Savior is, right?
I don't know. It's almost like when you start doing ministry, it's tough, but you almost take on like I don't want to say like a 3D, but you almost feel the Bible and you realize like it makes more sense the way Jesus did it, why he fed them. Like a lot of the stories are like, wow, like I was telling you earlier, like even the Bible, like it made me. It kind of puts everything in perspective. Like the Bible will never go out of style. It will never be opposite. Like it will always be present, and it will always be an answer. And when you do ministry, like I said, sometimes it's tough. Like don't get me wrong. We've had some of the kids lose their parents, and just like stuff that just happens in ministry. But then the fact that you get to go back with that person, and you almost have to seek. I know a lot of times for me when it gets hard, you almost are forced to seek. And it's amazing because that's the best, because you can't even be mad at God. You're almost mad at yourself because you're like, I knew I had the answer here. You just kind of, and so every time you look, you just dig in more and dig in more. And so you do it with a purpose. Like I'm really bad with feelings. My wife would tell you, like, I'm terrible with them, right? So when a kid's not feeling good or they're bummed out, I'm like, hey, why are you upset? And then my wife's like, they just need a hug. I'm like, nah, dude, make him some laughs. Like, he's got to walk it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it's a grade. But when you read and you start reading, you realize why the Bible says to take care of people that way, and why watch your tongue, and you realize, like, even if it's simple, like, hey, not today, like, I'm busy today, and you go in your house, like, that kid's upset now. And so it almost seems like I'm helping the kids, but they're really helping me.
Yeah.
And they're helping me in my walk, and I know a lot of difficult stuff now. A lot of stuff that I didn't notice, and now with the twins, it's harder, but God stretches to a point where He knows how much He needs you. Yeah. You know, when He needs you, and I try to remind myself about that sometimes.
I mean, that's been a theme today too. Is this idea that it's a dynamic process. It's not just us trying to rescue these kids, but that God is up to something where He's shaping both of us, and we get to address each other's poverty, really, you know, in different ways. But that's why it's so important for you, Julio, that they can see somebody who looks like them, from where they're from, understands the suffering that they experience, but has made it. Right? And it's like, oh, you know, and it did take a long time. 9 years for your neighborhood to be like, okay, like maybe he is for real, you know what I mean? But so worth it. And so I love that. And so one of the things that I thought was really interesting that you were telling me earlier before we, you know, started doing this was some of the ways that, like I said, you were a leader before. Like, this is who God's made you to be. You actually, I'm sure, had compassion even before, right? Now, but you were playing it out in all these different ways and whatever. Maybe it was for your homeboys, but you know what I mean. But violence towards others or whatever it is. But tell me a little bit about how has God redeemed the things you've learned back then to what you're doing now?
Oh man, it's amazing. It's actually sometimes that I sit back and I laugh because. So right now I'm a manager, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Didn't go to school for management. I just graduated high school. I did like 1 year in college, but nothing. I couldn't say like I learned management from someone.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's a gift in me where I understand people and I can. If you tell me the goal you want, I can kind of see the energy and kind of people. I find that if you put someone to do what they like, they just thrive. And even though everyone knows that.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it in people, and I did that since I was even I used that on the street when I was young, so that made me kind of successful, and that kind of blew me up because a lot of people know that rule, but they don't know how to apply it.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I can see it, so I apply it, and things just move.
Yeah,
and so I was telling you earlier on the street when no one's finding my case, they call it racketeering.
Yeah, yeah.
In the business world, they call it management.
Sure, man.
And then, and Christian is like, oh, that's your pastor. That's the one that kind of guides you and kind of. I'm like, it's called different stuff, but it's really, to me, it's the heart you do it in. Yeah. And so like that's I was telling you earlier. Like right now, even though I work doing that, and I mean that job alone, I know it's I know God put me there for a reason because now I deal with a lot of the kids that we help. Yeah. And so it put me in a situation where at first it's easy to say it's the parents' fault. Yeah. That's why the kids are a wreck. That's why if the parents drop the ball. Yeah. But then I got put in a situation where I was seen in the shoes of the parent. Yeah. And it's like, hey, they're working 12 hours. They're working 6 days a week. They're getting paid minimum wage. They got 6 other kids. And so you kind of like, you're not justifying, but you're like, okay, I can see 2 views. Yeah. And it's not about pointing the finger. It's actually harder than that. You got to try to find the middle ground. Yeah. And try to see where, you know, and a lot of them, and so when I got this job, I'm like, it helped me to help people inside of work and outside of work. Yeah. And so now it's like, I learned that when I was a kid because on the street, just surviving a fight, like you don't want to fight everyone. Yeah. So you learn to delegate.
Yeah. Get that back up.
You don't always want to, you're like, oh, dude, like they want you to do this. You know it's dumb, so you better figure out a way to talk your way out of it, or you're going to jail. So, and after a while, I was like, wait a minute, like I learned this when I was a kid, but now it's being used for good. Yeah. Now I can talk to someone like, hey, you can talk someone off a ledge, like, hey man, I know you're upset, you know, whatever the situation is, and now they can't say like you don't know anything. It's like, man, I made dumb decisions, bro. Yeah. And I know how, you know, so it's so pretty awesome, man. and it's almost like because your first fear when you leave. Whether it's gangs or any lifestyle that wasn't 100% legal or correct, is how do you go legit? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The fear with that and like I don't even know how and it's almost like don't worry about that. And I remember when I first left everything, that was my first fear. How am I gonna find it? My situation is a little more complicated. Sure, yeah. But even in my situation, God was like, that's my job. Yeah. Your job's to focus on me, and I take care of the rest. And man, he's faithful. Till this day, I'm right here.
I love that, man. And so I hope too, if you're hearing this story, and you got kids that you love that just aren't there yet, brother, you're hope for us, because it's like, look what God can do, and the fact that the students where our leaders are going after this, the kids that are coming to your house, all the kids in the schools and the streets and the jails and all these kids that we're trying to reach, like, God created them, right? They have giftings. They're made in the image of God. They're unique. They're just not being who they were created to be. So I love your story, because like, this is what it looks like. This is the kingdom of God. This is redemption in that. And then he's called you into his work to do that. And I love that, brother. So, it's Giving Tuesday. We're trying to, raise some money. And so, can you just tell me a little bit, how has UIWI like helped you in this, right? You're 90 degrees grad, right? No, yeah, that's right. You just graduated. And so you went for a whole year, just graduated. In fact, everybody that we talked to today was in your class. So it's like, yeah. So, but how's UIWI come alongside of you in this? What's been helpful?
So what UIWI did for me is basically, it's almost like if you get someone like me who gets out of the hell, gets out of wherever they're at, and they receive Christ and they want to do something, that's awesome, and that's almost the goal. But then when you get there, you realize, okay, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
We've
all been there, brother. Yeah.
But I have no, and one thing I've learned, and this is through a really good mentor of mine, Dennis, and he's the one that kind of got me in the perspective of, you need to prepare yourself even when you don't know what it's for.
Yeah, okay.
And he says, you got to always be prepared, because what's the point of, okay, now you know what it's for, but you're not prepared. So now you got to spend this time. When instead of waiting, you could have prepared. So I'm like, I don't really know what to do. He's like, there's this program, try it out. And you guys covered every aspect, man. I got to see ministry for what it's for.
Yeah.
I don't just get to step in and get blindsided, or understand the terms or the politics behind it, or the rules behind it, or even what to do when you get there, because, I mean, it's like, it almost seems like it could be like winning the lottery. One day, if you're too successful, it might just get to you.
Yeah.
If you're not successful enough, you just have to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You gave up too early. So, and
if
you don't know, then it's like, damn, I could have just waited 2 more weeks. Or another year.
That's true, man.
But like, nobody told me, So you guys gave me that heads up of like, no, now I know what I'm getting myself into. I know it's gonna be hard work. It's not like I'm going into a fairy tale. It's just whether or not I'm willing to hold God's hand through it. Yeah. That's the only way. And people don't really put it that way. Everyone's like, oh, you're saved. Now go change the world.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, they don't give you not even a sandwich to go, you know what I'm saying? Nothing.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
But you guys, like, look, this is what it looks like. Are you sure? And, and the same thing that Christ said, like, count the cost. If it ain't for you, at least you know.
Yeah.
At least it took 1 year, not 7, and then now you don't have faith. Now, it's like, man, at least you knew. And so that alone, it's a lot. I mean, I don't know how many years you guys saved me of just going around trying to figure it out,
Yeah, no, I love that, bro. I used to say so
You're
many...
going around saved me.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm all bitter about it. I'm like, wait a minute, it took me. No, man, I get that, brother. And we hope man, we're just honored to walk with you, bro. And we just feel like the sacredness of your story and your life is an honor for us to walk in. So thanks for like opening that up. But man, we are honored to walk with you, to figure this out with you, to grow together, because we believe this is dynamic too, right? We learn from you. You speak into the community. Your voice as a leader within our community of leaders helps all these guys out there, right? And so we just so appreciate you, brother. And so, hey, if you're inspired by Julio like I am, and what he's doing, and look full time. Right? You just came from work, full-time job. He just had twins, they got twins.
10 months.
Yeah, 10 months. And so he's in it, still in the same neighborhood, still reaching out to these kids. Like, that could be you. You're being called into this kind of work. And so we want you to give to it and resource guys like Julio, that are out there just in their neighborhood, reaching kids with the gospel, with the love of Christ. And so, brother, I'm just so thankful. I feel bad because you didn't even get to eat sushi yet.
No, man,
but
it tastes good. I got some bites before.
Yeah, man. So
it's amazing.
Hey, so please, give. Maybe it's $25, $50, $100, whatever it is. Would you please give? Every dollar's matched, so we can support more leaders like Julio, even in Alaska, because apparently we got people in Alaska. So I'm sorry about the Alaska peoples, but we're excited that we're with you, and that you're with us. And so, hey, thank you guys for being with us Giving Tuesday. This goes till midnight. You got time to give. There's going to be a ton of other videos. You can check out the videos we already did. And thank you, brother, for everything, man, that you're doing, man. It's just inspiring, and I know part of the vision for it too, which you will let you know what's going on with Julio. But part of the vision is you want to start a nonprofit in that neighborhood to reach those kids. Yes, and we want to walk with you through that, brother.
Yes, so. Thank you, you guys. You guys are helping us actually make that dream come true.
Yeah, man.
So thank you. That's in the future, so.
Amen.
We'll stay together.
All right, friends. So we'll see you guys. And then thank you so much for being with us on Giving Tuesday. We will see you guys later on. We'll be making all this content and doing all this stuff for you. We're with you. We are you. We'll see you guys later. Peace. Get some of this sushi. Sushi. In 2020, the revolution is happening. We're revolutionizing the way we do media, the content that we bring you. It's going to be relevant. It's going to be up to date. It's going to really speak to the places that our urban leaders are in and what they're dealing with. Not only that, but we're reimagining national conference. And I know that a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, what's going on with that? Look, we've been silent on it because some things are coming. It's going to be a little bit different, but we're really excited. I think it's going to blow your mind about what's coming. And then we're going to be creating a bunch of new resources for you this next year, again, that are really going to help you become the leader you're created to be. We revamped 9 Degrees. It's going to be off the hook. And here's the big one. I know that you've been asking for it. We're moving out into regional spaces. And so we're going to be coming to a city near you. And we're going to be setting up shop and supporting the leaders there so that there's regional gatherings and groups and trainings for you to get to. I know everybody can't come to California. I know you want to, but you can't, right? And so we're going to help you get to a group of other leaders just like you that are close to your region. And we're really going to be working into this regional model that we're working out right now. And so look, 2020 is going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible what God's going to be doing through leaders just like you. And so stick with us. I know it's been a lot of change. I know change can be hard. I know the transition is difficult. I know you missed some things that used to be. I get it. Me too. But we're moving forward, and that's my job. We're here to help you be the leader that you're created to be. And so we have a whole bunch of things for you this next year. Keep rocking with us. We believe in you. We are you. And we'll be with you. Tools like help the youth worker actually do the work. So we have something called the Discipleship Toolkit, which is it's like 36 videos, for discipleship. So you get your group together and you watch a 5-minute video, and then you have discussion. It's just to set you up to have that, be present in relationship with your students. RD Kit is really built for the urban leader in that context. So a lot of our leaders have to take other resources and translate it for their students. So, other people making resources for teens and students, youth, they're not coming from where we're coming from. And so it's not contextualized to the youth, right, that we're speaking to. And so we take in a shared understanding of suffering, language, and the culture that comes out of that, a shared culture of suffering that gets expressed through art and language and art and dance and right, those kind of things. Well, that's all put into these type of resources. We understand where they're coming from because that's where we're from. And so that's what makes it really different for people. The language you use, the examples we use, it's all contextualized to kind of like that shared suffering that we're experiencing in the urban center. So that's why it's a little bit different. Resources are built for the urban leader. So that's actually to help the leader become who they were created to be. So our resources, we'll have like training videos, and we'll have 90 Degrees, which is our certification course. Now 90 Degrees takes these leaders through a year-long process of growing them and giving them everything they need to be the leader that God created them to be. It's probably the best thing that we do. And that takes them through understanding who they're created to be, how do you lead that way, how do you use giftings, and then giving them the tools along that path to figure out, well, how do you reach your community? How do you communicate better? How do you manage and lead? How do you have healthy spiritual rhythms in your life? So there's 12 different classes in these 3 different modules that we have there. Every leader comes out of that completely transformed and changed. And not only that, they come out with a strategic plan. So again, you can't be present if you don't know what you're going to do. And so we help these leaders create the strategic plan. And so they know what the year looks like, they know where they're trying to head, they have goals, and then they go and get them. And then the last thing is trainings. We bring people together like at our national conference, which is really unique space, again, because it's contextualized. If you're out there and you feel like you're alone, like nobody understands what I'm doing, I'm out here in the hood, I'm grinding it out, like my kids are getting shot, they're dealing with heroin, their parents aren't around, like all the crazy stuff that these leaders deal with. If you're out there and you feel like you're alone, I'm telling you that there are thousands of other leaders just like you, and you just don't know where the family's at. And so we invite you into that. And so these trainings look like that. It's a bunch of people that look like you, talk like you, come from where you're coming from, understand. You don't have to explain poverty to them. So at things like our national conference, we have trainings where people can come, get trained, resource, get networked with people that are doing what you're doing. And then you can feel encouraged because there's an army of people just like you doing the same thing out there, and you just didn't know. Here's the deal. If we had 200 of our faithful followers, of our resource partners, of our leaders, if we had 200 people give $25, we reach our goal, right? And then every one of those dollars gets matched. So if you give $25, it's like giving 50. This is a bargain. And then you'll see all throughout today, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what that money goes to. And I believe that you'll be so inspired that you might want to give some more money. That'll get more matched, right? So look, today's the day. We need your help. Giving Tuesday, $25. We need 200 of y'all to come through. And some of you guys can give more. So if some of you have a little bit more capacity, give $100, you know? Some of you out there, I know you're big ballers, so $500, $1,000, that's all on you. So help us out today, be inspired by our leaders, follow with us, and we're gonna get there.